Hi, everyone, and welcome to Making It Count with Christina and Will, where we explore real ways to make your hard-earned money count today and every day.
No matter your financial goals, we want to offer practical tips and insider tricks to help you accomplish them.
Along the way, we'll learn from our local financial experts,
answer listener-submitted questions,
and share our own money experiences.
So together, let's make it count. Hey everyone, and welcome to Making It Count.
Will, can you believe that it's already time for our season 2 finale? Where did the time go?
I can't believe, but I also can.
I know.
Because it feels like we've been recording for a very long time.
I know, but at the same time, I feel like it just started. Like, it's so strange. Like we were in a little time warp.
Yes, I agree. We're going to be talking about various types of financial scams and how to recognize them today. And we have a terrific guest to walk us through it.
We do? I mean, we always have terrific guests, but I think this
extra special today.
Is extra special. Well, I was just reading an article that said that 30 million people in the U.S. fall victim to investment scams every single year with an average loss of $15,000.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is a lot. So, Christina, have you ever had someone try to get you to invest in something that sounded off color?
I have had someone that came to me and was like, let me let you know about this possible investment that you can get in with, and I would lead you through it and you would only have to invest X amount. And I'm like, no, no thanks.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get scammed. I didn't want you to get scammed.
And I don't think it's a scam. It's just like, for me, it was a little pyramid-y, like a pyramid scheme. So I'm like, I'm not going to walk down that. I'm like not a salesperson. So for me, it wouldn't have been.
It's not a pyramid. It's inverted.
Right. Right. Have you ever been has anybody tried to get you to do anything like that?
No, I mean, you get the occasional people trying to get you to buy something from an MLM, but like no scams. I wouldn't say that's a scam per se.
No. Yeah.
You're getting a product. So, but I've never been like approached with like investment offer other than like the typical like phishing call. Like I got a phishing call the other day that was like, you've been called by this call's from the FBI, and if you don't respond, we're sending this to the court and all this stuff. And I was like, what?
Oh man. But you know what? That wouldn't be a thing if it didn't work.
It's
you know
true.
what I mean?
It's true.
Well, our guest today is our very own executive producer, Lauren Buys. Yay!
Producer Lauren in the house.
Yes, in the house, behind the mic. So, Lauren, we're going to allow you to introduce yourself.
I mean, what else is there to say? I executive produce the show. I'm usually behind the scenes, so second time on the mic side. Pretty scared. You guys are intimidating. You do your job so well. We'll see.
I mean, we are scary. I mean, we're an intimidating
I'm very
bunch.
intimidating.
You're so smart now. I mean, 2 seasons of financial topics.
That's true.
Experts now.
And my 13th mortgage payment.
We are the expert now.
Yeah, you are.
I am the expert.
You won't even need guests anymore.
No more guests.
I could interview you.
There you go.
That's what season 3 has in store.
Season 3. Buckle up, Buttercup.
I hope I get the answers right. Probably wouldn't.
Well, Lauren, we are super happy to be here. So I'm really eager to get started. So let's jump right in and let's get started with a general question about investment and money-making schemes. So, Lauren, why do you think that people are so vulnerable to them?
I mean, if you just think about it, we all want to feel financially secure and free from really the day-to-day concern of how to pay the bills and support your family. We all want that financial freedom that everyone tries to sell. And I think that's when someone comes along and really promises an offer that's too good to be true, you're hopeful. You want to try it. And so many people want to believe it, and they do. And it's the sad part.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing, like if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not going to get to buy $100 worth of gift cards and then get like $1,000 out of it.
Right.
Like that's not going to work.
Definitely.
So, Lauren, then can you tell us like the hallmarks of a scam, how a listener could recognize it? Because some of them are very, very sneaky. It's not usually as basic as I just said.
Or it is like on face value. If the deal seems too good to be true, you should put, your glasses on and really take a second look at it and see, okay, let's go through and really determine if this is what I should be putting my money into. And really we know what the traditional ways are of making money and investing, and things like CDs. They're secure. They've been tried, true, and tested, and they're from legit companies. That's something where you're going to get the return that they say you're going to get. But anytime someone offers you an investment opportunity where above 10%, you should definitely do a double take and be like, okay, do you plan on getting 10% return? That's a little too good to be true.
So let's start off by the one I have heard about, but I don't really know too much about the origins of it, the Ponzi scheme. So Lauren, can you tell us about that?
I would love to. And I went down a rabbit hole learning all about Charles Ponzi.
So it's he's actually it's named after a person?
Yes. So he was back in the early 1900s. And he actually wasn't the first one to come up with what we now call Ponzi schemes, but he was the one to make it the most widespread. He was the first one to really get all those headlines and really make it popular and well known.
He was an influencer.
He was an influencer.
In a bad way.
He was ahead of his time.
Very, very
It
bad.
makes me think of I don't know if you guys ever saw The Music Man, the play.
Yes.
That was all of
You
it.
don't think I've seen The Music Man?
I was in The Music Man in high school.
Who did you play?
I was like a supporting cast member, but still, I loved that play. But it makes me
I
think
was
of
hoping
that.
you were Marion the librarian.
No, I wish. No, I wasn't that good. But it makes me think of that. That play was totally a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, he was a snake oil salesman type guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it was. So a Ponzi scheme is really where it's a type of investment fraud where investors are promised a specific return on their investment, but that investment isn't real. The person perpetrating the Ponzi scheme just takes the money and uses it for their own personal good or to pay back previous investors. And so they're always constantly trying to get new investors to pay back the old one. So the later you are into the Ponzi scheme, the more basically ripped off you get. Sometimes the early investors do see more of a return than the ones that are later on in the scheme. But it is still a scheme. And just a little bit more about Charles Ponzi. So he was promising his clients a 50% return in 45 days. So again, too good to be true. Just put your glasses on and take a second look. And he was also promising 100% return in 90 days. Yeah, and people believed him. So that's crazy.
Wow.
And what was he investing in? What was he selling?
So they're called postal reply coupons, which I'm not from the early 1900s, so I don't really know what those were used for. But basically what you could do is buy discounted ones from other countries and then sell them here in the US or Canada for face value. So he would make a little bit of a markup buying them from foreign countries and then selling them here in the US. So he would buy them on behalf of his clients and then sell them here for his purported 50% return. Really, he was just pocketing it or using it to pay back people that had invested previously.
Wow. So tell us more about Mr. Ponzi.
So yeah, the really interesting thing is he lost about $20 million, which back then, $20 million, it's a lot of money. In today's money, that's $250 million.
Wow.
Is how much he lost, which I think is crazy. And he used that money to buy a mansion in Massachusetts. So he was living the good life. He bought a Locomobile, which was the finest car of that time. So he balled out.
Man.
I like the name of that, the Locomobile.
The Locomobile.
That's what you drive, Will. The Locomobile.
My 2010. Don't bring up my Corolla. How dare you? Keep her name out of your mouth.
Oh my God. And one thing that I think was really kind of ironic when I was reading through this story is a Boston Financial writer actually wrote about this scheme. He noticed what Ponzi was up to and was trying to call him out. And Ponzi was able to sue him for libel. And he won $500,000 by suing this journalist because they couldn't prove that what he was doing at that time.
Wow.
And the burden of proof is on the journalist. So it ended up working out in Ponzi's favor. So it's kind of ironic that someone figured him out, but he actually won money from it for damages.
So did he ever get caught?
Yes. Yep. So he had federal charges against him in the US and Canada and eventually went to prison, and his health deteriorated really bad and he ended up dying pretty quickly. So karma, I don't know, but yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. So what is an example of someone in modern day time that would be the equivalent of a Charles Ponzi?
So I think one of the most famous examples in modern history, and it's really interesting that we're recording this podcast today, is Bernie Madoff, because he actually passed away this morning. So yeah, he's the most widespread popular Ponzi schemist architect.
Do you know how I found out that Bernie Madoff passed away today?
I have a feeling because I saw your Instagram.
Yeah, it's a really fun way. There's a Twitter account called Liza Minnelli Outlives. And anytime something happens where maybe a famous person passes away or a fad dies or something happens, they always post Liza Minnelli outlived X. And I found out today because I saw the tweet that said Liza Minnelli has outlived Bernie Madoff.
Now I need to go follow that.
It's a really interesting account. She's outlived a lot of things.
Stay up to date on current events. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's how I get my news.
Oh, gosh.
It's not the worst way, honestly.
Oh, man.
It's all factual.
Yeah.
She did outlive him today.
She also outlived skinny jeans and side parts, but we can get past that.
I would just like to point out my middle part.
You do.
Producer Lauren is being very
so
current.
I know. She's
I'm
so
trying.
trendy.
I'm trying to defy it because my birthday's coming up next week. So I'm like you, trying to defy it. But yeah, so back to Bernie Madoff. He actually lost billion dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. And they gave him a 150-year prison sentence. He was already older gentleman when this happened, so it was more of a symbolic gesture of, hey, you really messed up.
You're never getting out of this.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I watched a film, and it was like an HBO film about him, and I was like really excited because it like looked really dramatic and it had good actors, and I was like, oh, this will be good. And I was hoping they would like start with like the origin of like how the whole thing started. And it might have built up to that. I didn't finish it because I was immediately turned off because they started with him like within 5 minutes of it starting, you hear him go, yep, I did it. It was all a scam. I was like, wait a minute. What? I was like, they didn't even build up.
No.
Like, I don't even care about this guy yet. I don't like, no.
And they gave away the punchline.
No. I hope our listeners out there don't hate me for saying that. I didn't care for it. So we know about Bernie Madoff, but I worry a little that our listeners will hear 65 billion and think that doesn't apply to me. I'm not investing that kind of money.
No.
I don't know what Christina's doing.
I was going to say, speak for yourself.
Who knows? Christina might be a billionaire. We don't know. But I know you have an example of a scheme that might be a little more relatable to our listeners at the moment.
I do. And this one I picked especially for you guys because I know we have a super big Hamilton fan in the room.
That's me.
It's shocking that it's not me.
I know you love the Music Man so much, but like Hamilton is like, oh, wow, like my jam.
I haven't seen it.
What? Okay, we're going to have to do a meetup where we're eating Taco Bell while watching
Yes.
Hamilton on Disney Plus.
Yes.
That sounds like a fever dream.
So, okay, Lauren, what happened with Hamilton?
Okay, so it's called the Hamilton Ponzi scheme, and it involves obviously the Broadway musical Hamilton. And back in 2015, Hamilton had just moved from being off Broadway to Broadway, and it was a huge hit. Tickets were impossible to get, and this man named Joseph Millay was known to be the guy in New York who could get his friends tickets to really any show or concert. So this guy, he was a New York event promoter and a Hampton socialite. So he lived this life. People trusted that, you know, if you wanted tickets to whatever the coolest hit thing is, he could get you in there. He actually ran a concert series that featured Billy Joel, Prince, James Taylor.
Wow.
Where it cost $3,000 a ticket to get into this concert venue. So he was the man. Mm-hmm. He seemed legit. And I think that's really what starts with
I've seen him at parties around. You know, I've been there. I've seen him. It's fine.
You were there, Will.
Yeah.
Did you lose money in the Hamilton Ponzi scheme?
No,
So
he's
much.
never seen Hamilton.
That's why I'm doing the podcast.
Well, that's why he never saw it, is because it was all fake. But
Right.
That's why I have to work now.
yeah. But really, I mean, he had photos of him partying with executives and celebrities. And so he really was the guy. And I think that's really what makes a hallmark of a Ponzi scheme is the person that's reaching out to you really seems like they know what they're doing. They seem legit. So that's one thing to be careful of is, again, if it's too good to be true.
And he's like so visible. He's a socialite. Why wouldn't I trust him? Everybody's
Exactly.
doing
Right.
it.
Exactly.
And everything
Like-
that he's said he's going to do has been done. Like the trust is there.
Yeah. Basically, he told potential investors that he knew the producer of Hamilton and had an opportunity to buy 35,000 tickets.
What?
To the show, just a block of them. So in reality, he actually did reach out to the producer of Hamilton, but the producer was like, no, we're not selling you 35,000 tickets. That's ridiculous. So his plan was to use the money from the investors to buy the tickets, which then he would then resell for a 10% markup. Guaranteeing that 10% return for all the investors.
But 35,000 tickets, like that just seems like an absurd amount. Like I couldn't even, we had to go to Chicago to get 2 tickets to go see Hamilton. Like how do you score? And it's not like from what I was told, the theater in New York didn't seat that many people. Like it wasn't a
None
big
of them really
theater.
do.
No.
So how in the world could you guarantee 35,000 tickets at the hottest show on Broadway?
And
Wow.
that's the thing is that's how great his rep was. If you say you're this man and you say that you know the producer of Hamilton and have these tickets, no one was questioning it, even though the theater, like you said, only holds about 1,300 people.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was really small.
Yeah. So you'd have to book, I think I did the math, 26 performances of the show to reach 35,000 tickets.
Wow.
So it's just, absolutely ridiculous. But again, it's just based all on this guy's reputation. And really one of the most well-known people to fall victim to the scheme was Michael Dell, CEO of Dell Technologies. So again, it can happen to anyone.
Wow, and he's a smart guy, and he felt wow. So
Gotta
was he?
get Adele, dude.
I'm assuming that he was caught though.
Yes. So his scheme lasted about 2 years.
Wow.
And eventually he was caught.
But I mean, it's really crazy how like somebody who's like the CEO of such a well-known company who you would automatically just kind of think in your mind that's got to be like a pretty smart person fell victim to something, and really it probably didn't impact him all that much, hopefully, but that's what we're saying. It's a scam. You're not going to know immediately. Maybe you might have a feeling, but like it could be somebody that you know really well. It could be somebody that you even trust.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And he had two accomplices too that were part of this scheme, and they were investment fund people. So again, it's all on the reputation. People just trusted what they were saying. And really 10% doesn't sound that ridiculous when you think of people buying tickets and like scalping them. You can get...
it's not insane like a 50% return or something. Like, you know, that's an automatic like, oh, I
red
can't
flag,
do that, you know. Okay, so now we've heard some of the most famous Ponzi schemes. Can you run down the hallmarks of a Ponzi scheme and how our listeners can avoid being caught up into one of these?
Of course. So the primary hallmark is that it's an investment scheme that's promising a return, and it may publicize higher than average returns. So I mentioned Bernie Madoff earlier, and his company attracted new investors by publicizing returns that, quote unquote, beat the market year after year. So people should always be skeptical of guaranteed returns and, like we've said a million times, returns that seem too good to be true.
Yeah, because when you invest anything outside of just a standard like bank savings account, when you go in and actually invest, they usually say up front, like, this is not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed. No, that's, I mean,
it's not insured. It's nothing.
Even with my Roth IRA, you have to sign all these documents saying like, it is not guaranteed that you're going to be making X amount.
Yeah.
And something else I read is, you know, if you ask them, okay, but how do you plan to beat the market? A lot of the times they make it seem mysterious and they don't directly answer your questions.
It's so complicated. I don't need to bog you down with the details.
We do this all the time. And they'll throw around big names,
I might be really good at this.
Yeah. Oh, be careful,
Oh, no,
Lauren.
this was bad. I was
I have
educating
an
the wrong
opportunity
thing.
for you.
Oh, man.
So, like, what's the difference between a Ponzi scheme and then a pyramid scheme? Or are they interchangeable, or is it the same thing?
So they are different. So in a Ponzi scheme, the scammer repays early investors with money from later investors. A pyramid scheme is a scheme where the company behind it earns money primarily from recruiting new people into the scheme. So typically there's some sort of company or product behind what you're selling, not just, oh, we're going to invest your money in X, Y, and Z.
So there might be something actually tangible in it.
Exactly. And really with the pyramid scheme, the person at the top is the tip of the pyramid, and membership, the more they recruit, increases exponentially as each new recruit brings in new people. So that's the idea behind it, is the more people you bring in, the more money gets shared around, and eventually you will make a percentage off of what the people you're recruiting bring in.
Okay. That makes sense.
And the person at the top keeps getting more.
Right. So what's an example of a pyramid scheme?
So really probably one of the most famous pyramid schemes was back in 2013 with a company called Fortune High Tech Marketing.
Very real name.
Yeah, it sounds
I'm
super
already
legit.
sold.
It's kind of like Seinfeld. It's like what is it? He's import-export dealer. Yeah.
Or like any of like
Acme.
the Looney Tunes companies, they were always like Acme.
Yeah. But they're a Kentucky-based company, and they called themselves a multi-level marketing company, which again is different from a pyramid scheme on paper. So it recruited people to sell a bunch of different products, including cell phone providers, dish network, home security systems, and even health and beauty products. And basically the salespeople would recruit and pay between $100 and $300 in annual fees, plus any payments to get access to higher sales commissions and recruiting bonuses. So anytime they ask you to put in this sort of upfront investment, that's when you know you might want to take a step back and be like, okay, what am I actually investing in and why do I need to have so much upfront? Just something to question in that regard.
I don't think I've ever heard about that one. How big did it get? How many people were involved?
And that's what's crazy is 350,000 people in the United States and Canada bought into the scheme.
Wow. I never even heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because it sounds legit. I mean, it doesn't. And they're selling products that are legitimate
real products,
like cell phones and security systems and dish. Like those are all tangible things.
Like you're getting a product out of it. You're not just handing over money and getting nothing.
Right. A trusting product that you already have built, a trust on it.
And one thing I had read when I was looking into this is, take, for example, Dish Network. They didn't even know that this company was basically reselling their products. So they didn't have direct connections with some of these companies. So they were using their name without permission from these larger companies, sort of to add to their reputation of being a legit company.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I know that you said that people earn money from recruiting new people. So the more people you get in, the higher up you get. Did anyone actually make money selling these products?
So in this case, very few people did. The company itself released numbers that revealed that 95% of its sales reps earned less than $3,000 per year.
What?
And almost 30% earned absolutely nothing at all, but they still had to pay those annual fees to even get into the program. So they were investing money and made absolutely zero on it.
Wow.
Yeah, 3,100 isn't going to give anybody
No.
financial security. Not in this economy. No.
No.
But I think the thing that is, like, if you were ever going to own a franchise, like if I ever wanted to own my own McDonald's or my own Chick-fil-A, which we talk a lot about, I do have to put money into it to be able to be a franchisee. So that almost like makes sense. Like, oh yeah, I have to buy in to be part of the investment. So I can see how people can get sucked into the idea of being your own boss and owning a part of it.
It's almost like the guise of like, I'm making a smart business decision because look at like, you have to put the investment in to get it back. You're not just gonna,
And I think it's, again, looking at the structure of the company and how does the company make money and how would you make money?
Right.
If you open up a Chick-fil-A, you're making money because you're running a retail store.
Making money because you're Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Because they have the most efficient drive-through on the planet.
Not because you're getting 10% of whatever your recruits get who get it. So
I mean, literally, that drive-through is like, it's like a spectacle.
It
like,
is.
I know.
And I worked at a Chick-fil-A, and like we sort of did that a little bit, but not like it is today. I pull up and I'm like, there are 500 employees out here helping us.
Yeah, that's true. So $3,100 is not going to come close in me leaving my full-time job to do this. That doesn't even cover what I'd have to pay in daycare cost a year to actually do the job. So, Lauren, you got to clarify this for me. What is the difference between a pyramid scheme and then an MLM? And what is an MLM?
Yes. So an MLM is a multi-level marketing structure company.
Okay.
And really, the lines kind of get blurred here. And I'm sure if you've known anyone who participates in an MLM, they love to talk about how it's not a pyramid scheme and they will defend it to their last dying breath, which, again, if that's your choice, that's your choice and that's fine. There are some legit ones out there. But really, the lines are blurred here. And just like a pyramid scheme, the company's at the top and all the sales reps kind of layer in under it in a widening level underneath. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Office episode, or it's like a cold open where Michael's trying to get his coworkers to join his get-rich-quick scheme by basically selling calling cards, and everyone's making fun of him. Like, no one uses calling cards anymore. Like, what even is that? And he's trying to recruit everyone else to join him. And they really challenge him, like, hey, this is a pyramid scheme. And he doesn't believe them. So he goes up to try and draw, like, okay, no, see, here's the idea behind it. You start with one person and you start recruiting these other people to sell, and they recruit more. And he has all these dashes on the whiteboard. And Jim goes up and draws a big triangle around it. And Michael's like, okay, you're right. So really all it takes is just to take a step back. Sometimes you get caught up so much in what's my return on investment? What can I actually make from this, that you don't think things through clearly.
I've seen that, and that it always kind of comes down to that. Like, even if it's the inverted triangle, I've seen episodes of TV shows where they do that. They're like, flip it upside down, it's a triangle. But the MLMs are legal, right? Like, that's a legal business.
They are. Although there's a lot of people out there that think they shouldn't be, but MLMs have great lobbyists. But, when the products are decent and they stick around a lot of time, people can legitimately earn money. You are selling products and that you make a return on. Some examples of MLMs that have been around for a long time and are completely legit: Mary Kay, Tupperware, Avon, Beachbody, Pampered Chef.
My mom loves a Tupperware.
Oh, really? I didn't know Beachbody was an MLM.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I just thought they did on-demand workouts.
But who's selling you those on-demand workouts?
Facebook.
I am.
Yeah.
But I definitely, the Mary Kay, the pink Cadillac, that is like classic. Like, I remember seeing pink Cadillacs.
If I see Mary Kay on a car and it's not a pink Cadillac, they didn't sell enough.
No.
But those are all legit.
Yeah.
Like, people make money from those.
They do. Mm-hmm. And that's why those are legal and they're not shady. They've been around for a long time. But there are shady ones. And I think one of the ones that's been in the news most recently is LuLaRoe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know about them, their products are those colorful women's clothing in kind of modest styles.
Leggings.
Those leggings,
Yep.
So in 2017, they had more than 80,000 quote-unquote individual distributors selling their clothes. And really what happened was the issue that kind of came up first is that the clothes aren't that well made. Tons of people were posting pictures of ripped leggings and shirts on social media. And it can be hard to sell that stuff when people scroll down their Instagram feed and see a dozen examples of products falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and especially in the age of social media, and I think we all know this, like, if your product isn't up to par, you're going to get ripped to shreds very quickly on social media, especially if you're promising things that aren't there. And like fast fashion is a huge thing. But a lot of us, I think, especially once you've had a few experiences with fast fashion, I won't even name the companies we are all thinking of. You quickly realize it's not really worth it. You might as well spend the higher price. You might as well buy that higher price item that is going to last you, and you don't have to worry about it.
Because it brings up questions of why are your products so poorly made?
Yeah.
And why am I spending so much to get them?
So, okay, but we know that their products are poorly made.
Mm-hmm.
What about the people selling it? What happened to them after this broke that, wow, these leggings are terrible?
Yeah. And I think what started with is any new distributor had to make a significant upfront investment to buy inventory. So they were pushing people to buy between $5,000 to $9,000 worth of inventory and have that on hand. And there was actually an official recommendation that representatives should keep about 20 grand of inventory on hand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I did, when we were talking about MLMs, because I didn't know that's what they were called. There was a time where like my Facebook feed was full of people that were selling LuLaRoe, and then suddenly it all disappeared. So I went and did like a deep dive. Like, I went down that cavernous.
Isn't it kind of fun that their name is LuLaRoe, and it sounds very similar to another company that's famous for leggings?
Yeah.
I think they came afterwards though, and LuLaRoe was named after the woman's granddaughters. The beginning of the women's granddaughters.
It just sounds so similar. It was hard to I don't know. Like, come on.
But I wondered about that, and it's
like me starting like Lulu Limes.
I would buy those.
But the quality is there. Like,
ooh, I could start an MLM with you.
There you go. Let's go. And then you guys are going to try to get me to do it. Yeah. But, I know so many people, not directly, but indirectly lost a lot of money through it because they never knew what inventory they were going to get in. So you would order X amount of leggings in X amount of sizes, but you never knew what you were getting.
Well, and then think about it this way. The Instagram feed starts breaking. The products aren't good. Nobody wants to buy your product. And you have $20,000 worth of inventory on hand.
Yeah. Like, I read the article that
That's
I read.
Devastating.
This woman had lost it all. Like, every dime that she made, she had to reinvest because the people above her were encouraging her, oh, well, you'll sell more if you have more inventory. So that's one of the lawsuits that have come out, that they felt pressured to do it. And she actually went into like $50,000 worth of debt.
Oh my God.
And she ended up just selling all the items for like $1 because she just had to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Because you would get half or more of the inventory that you would get in was not sellable. So you would just you'd be encouraged to buy more of the product to get a very finite amount of sellable pieces. So you end up getting stuck with all of these unsellable items. Oh, it was so sad.
Well, and what I think is sad, I mean, yes, you're $50,000 in debt, but I feel like they prey on, I'm a woman myself, and I have this need to feel financially independent and want to live the kind of lifestyle that I want, that I see on my Instagram feed of, oh, not working that 9 to 5, I just, sell clothes to my friends. Like, they prey on people.
That was one of the lawsuits that came out. They said they particularly preyed on stay-at-home moms or women that were wanting to make extra income for their families. And now there's like billions of dollars worth of lawsuits out there because of it. It's really sad.
Yes. And actually in 2017, there was a $1 billion class action lawsuit filed by people in California who claimed that the company advised individual distributors to borrow money, max out their credit cards, and even sell breast milk to buy inventory.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
can you
read about
imagine
that.
someone telling you to do that? That's how you know. I mean, there's many red flags.
And even the lady in the
Don't do
article
that.
was like, the red flags were crazy, but she's like, I was in the middle of it and I just bought into it.
Yeah.
When you're in the heat of it, and you're also put under a lot of financial strain on that point. Like there's peer pressure, there's financial strain. You may have already invested something in it, and you feel like you've got to try to swim out of it, and like you're already buried so deep.
And you're so like you have like they were encouraged to do it all on social media. So now you
Your
have this
friends and
reputation.
family know.
Everyone knows, and you don't want to be like the one who had to come out and say, "Well, this was a failure." So you just keep doing it more. Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah, or that you may have made a mistake. Like it's terrible all around. It's horrible, and those people were ultimately like fell victim to something, and it's very sad.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the class action is still pending, but they were also sued by their chief clothing supplier, which claimed that they were financially insolvent and running a shell game to avoid paying their debts. Man. Yeah, so just a lot of, you start unraveling behind the scenes and start to see really how messed up everything is. But the state of Washington settled a lawsuit for $4.74 million, which was divided among their distributors in that state. So now they have to publish accurate income projections on their website. They can't skew those numbers. And if you go to their website, you can actually see that the median annual income of a distributor is only $1,444.
Wow. Man. I can't get over how many people were affected by that. Like, and recently, that wasn't a long time ago. Like that was very recent.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with some more questions and see how we can evaluate investments and money-making opportunities in the future. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. I want to start with something that stands out to me about both pyramid schemes and MLMs. Now that we've also learned the difference, isn't there a point, Lauren, where you just can't recruit new representatives or investors? Like there comes a point where like you just can't keep going with it.
Yeah, and that's a great question. It's so important to the kind of theory behind these schemes. I mean, people who join have to be willing to relentlessly hound everyone they know. I know we've all got those DMs in our Facebook or our Instagram from friends who have pressured to do that. And really, who wants to be that person? And, when I was gathering information about these schemes, I found a page on the Michigan Attorney General's website that showed exactly how ridiculous the claims of unlimited income are. So say you're the first person in your area to join an MLM. How many rounds of recruiting do you think it would take to max out your earning potential if each new recruit bought in just 2 additional representatives?
Oh, I can't math. I don't know. I mean, I think it would depend on the population. Like if you're in a small town, there is an unlimited amount of people in that town that you could recruit. So I guess it would depend on if you're in a big city or a small town.
Exactly. So just after 10 rounds of recruiting, you'd be at over 1,000 recruits. So if you're in a small town with not 1,000 people, it just doesn't make sense. By 20 rounds, you'd be at over 1 million people. By 28, the number would encompass every man, woman, and child in the United States. So again, just thinking back to the foundational aspects of how the company is structured and what they're asking you to do, you can do the math and realize it's just impossible. People really need to be aware of market saturation before they join an MLM. So not everyone will want to join and not everyone will want to buy the products. And people do leave the MLMs all the time.
Well, and I think like, you know, I have talked to some people I know who've been involved in MLMs at one point or another, and they were in it for either a set period of time or they might even still be in it. But in some way, they got something out of it. And some of those people did enjoy the work or the friends they made. Like I've heard some people tell me like, oh my God, I actually made good friendships through this because I talked and met other people. So with that being said, you know, considering we've talked about some reputable companies like Avon and Mary Kay, what would you say is the single most important thing that people can do to protect themselves from a bad opportunity?
Exactly. And I like that you brought that up, Will, because there are legit companies out there, and I think there are benefits outside of just monetary gain from doing networking like this. And obviously there are opportunities outside of MLMs to do networking and making friends. But if that's your avenue to do it, then better for you, just make sure you're protecting your financial assets as well. But to answer your question, I would say that research really is at the top of the list. And, you know, don't just read a few articles, or if someone's sharing, you know, information about a company and they're participating in it, do your own outside research, crunch those numbers like we had talked about, and really look at the income projections on their website. You know, like we had mentioned before with LuLaRoe, less than 3% of distributors made more than $75,000 a year.
Man. And that, like, I bet you the people that join think, well, I could be that 3%. Like, I could make $75,000.
Exactly.
Well, we all like to think we're special.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I am.
I mean, yes, you are for
and
sure.
you both are.
Yes.
Aw, you like how he tried to butter us up?
He did very good.
I'm just more special.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Americans, as a rule, just are hopeful. We like to believe in the American dream.
Yeah, but it's an opportunity. Maybe it's my big break, and maybe I'll have a success.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been absolutely great to hear about. So thank you so much for coming behind the mic.
Yay, Lauren!
It's been weird because I keep looking at the chair that you normally sit in, and there's no one there that I can like look at and make faces at, like, or like point my little paper at. And
you two are
and...
usually teaming up against me. So it's kind of
don't
nice.
give away
to
the
be-
behind the scenes.
That is a vile accusation.
That is.
I am offended.
Christina, you know I give you all the fun questions.
That's
okay?
true.
Really,
That's
if
true.
anything.
Girl power. Girl power. It's so nice having you on our
you,
side
guys.
of the table, and thank you on our side of the microphone. Actually, thank you for all the hard work that you do.
Yes.
You put everything together. You and Greenhouse, and thank you to Edition Financial for continuing to let us do this fun
Yes, absolutely.
podcast and all that. So thank you so much for being here.
You guys make my job easy. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks to Resonate Recordings for editing our podcast and all of that. We have so much to like shout out and thank all of the people that came on and became co-hosts or guests. We had some great guests this season.
We really did. We had a lot of great ones.
Yeah. So I hope you guys all enjoyed it. But thank you, Lauren, so much for everything that you did.
Of course. Thanks
and
for
you
having me.
keep doing. All right. Well, now it's time for our favorite segment called What Did We Learn Today? Okay, so for me, it was a big realization about, like, I didn't know what MLMs were. I just see them all the time, like the essential oils and the nail sticker things. And like, I've seen them, but I never knew really what they were called. And it was interesting how Lauren was able to explain what the difference is between an MLM and a pyramid scheme and the things to look and to see the difference and how to be careful not to get involved in a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned to not, put my vast amount of money out there so easily. It's tough when you have so much money like I do to really not fall for some of these schemes.
Oh, get out of here.
I'm kidding. I did think it was very interesting, the difference, because the difference between a pyramid scheme and an MLM, there is a difference. I will acknowledge that. I think we all can agree, but it is a fine line. So I think it's a weird place for people to get into, because is it really going to help you? Are you going to break even at best? I don't, it really is a personal thing. But like I said at the beginning, my mom swears by Tupperware.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, definitely. And my mom always bought Mary Kay and Avon.
Avon, yeah.
Yeah. So
we always had the little catalog sitting around.
Yes, always.
All right, Christina, that is a wrap on season 2.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe it.
I know, neither can I. But until next time.
Yes. We are going to start preparing for our next season. But for now, we'll see you next time on Making It Count.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Making It Count.
If you learned something new or inspired to reach your financial goals,
or just found us entertaining.
Please subscribe, share, or rate, and review us on your favorite podcast app.
And don't worry, we'll be back soon with another new episode of Making It Count.